In the 401k model that's in the newsletter, if you go by the website, realinvestmentadvice.com, click on the newsletter link. At the bottom is a thing called the 401k Plan Manager. Now, it's the model that's in there is really simple. It's a K.I.S.S model, right? Keep it simple, stupid, as my dad always said. And by keeping it simple, yeah, it's not flashy. It's not, it's not all exciting, et cetera. It's basic. But you'll pay attention to it. And you will be able to manage it better over time because you don't have all these different parts and components. I say, hey, reduce your equity by X. You got to reduce one fund or two funds. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff to get to your target weight to where you need to be. Hey, we need to increase the money. Where do I put it? Right there, right? Equities go back into equities. It's just easy. And so by keeping it simple, you will do better over time by actually paying attention to your money. See, the biggest thing there's three things, and I'm working on a new product. Hopefully they'll be out and, maybe by towards the end of this year. The three biggest things that we fail at as individuals in terms of our money is not being engaged, right? We put money in a 401k plan and we forget to pay attention to it, right? We don't adhere to a budget because nobody wants to be told what to spend. Budgets stink. Right? Nobody wants to live on a budget. Being disciplined is another problem about whatever it is, right? The discipline about the savings or the discipline about the management of the money. These are things that we don't want to do. And because unlike spending money on a credit card, see, we're incentivized. You know how many emails and calls I've gotten over the years, people saying, well, I put all my money on my credit card. I pay it off every month, but I spend everything on my credit card because I get the points. I get it, right? You're being rewarded for spending money. Think about that for a second. But see, we don't do that with savings money, right? When we save money, nobody comes up and says, hey, Tony, good job. You saved $10,000 a month. Here's a reward for you. We don't do that. And because we don't do that, and there's the saving money is a negative, right? If I'm saving money, I'm not being able to spend it on the stuff I want. So that's no fun. Now I'm back to that budget thing. Worst four-letter word in the dictionary, budget. So the problem is that we have all of our financial priorities completely backwards. We incentivize the wrong behaviors and we don't incentivize the right behaviors. And so this leads us to the position of where we are today financially, which is 80% of Americans can't meet a $500 paycheck or emergency. There's a rule of thumb that says you're supposed to have about $100,000 in savings for your age, right? So if you're 20, you should have $200,000 in the bank. If you're 30, you should have $300,000 in the bank. 40, 50, 60. That ain't going to work. Not in today's environment. If the average American makes $50,000 a year at 3% interest, you can do the math pretty quick that after tax, you're going to need about $2 million in the bank to generate an after-tax income of $50,000 a year just to maintain your lifestyle. And that's not including inflation or anything else. That's today. So if you're 30 or 40 and you're going to retire at 65 or 70, do the math from where you're currently saving to where you need to be. And the numbers get pretty ugly pretty quick. But this is why, the majority of the mistakes that we make are driven by a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding about how money actually works. Financial advice makes investing complicated on purpose so you'll pay a fee to get work done for you, right? It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. What you need to be paying for is not an overwhelming idea of something so complicated that you can't do yourself. What you're actually paying for is somebody to have the discipline to do what you won't do for yourself. That's the value of the fee that you pay.